Bee's Beautiful Garden by Winston White. Illustrated by Jacqueline Decker. A group of animal friends lived by a grassy meadow. A stream ran nearby. The animals thought they were very fortunate to live in such a nice place. Their neighborhood was just the right spot for planting gardens. It had rich soil, plenty of sun, and a supply of water. So the animals filled their neighborhood with gardens. Each made a special garden. Worm and Cardinal planted fruits and vegetables. Their crops included berries, beans, and peas. The other animals filled their gardens with flowers. Robin grew yellow and white daisies. Grasshopper grew colorful tulips and petunias. Hummingbird grew red roses on bushes. Bee grew all kinds of beautiful flowers in her garden. All the animals spent a lot of time tending their gardens. If the plants were drooping, the animals gave them plenty of water. If bugs were eating the plants, the animals shooed the harmful pests away. If weeds were sprouting, the animals pulled them right up. Try as they might, though, none of the animals could make a garden quite like Bee's. Everyone agreed that Bee had the most beautiful garden in the neighborhood. Bee grew flowers of every size, shape, and color. Her garden had the biggest and brightest flowers in the whole neighborhood. The flowers blossomed all summer long. No one had ever seen a garden as wonderful as Bee's garden. The animals knew that Bee must have a secret to make her garden flourish as it did. Sometimes they paced their own gardens as they wondered about the secret of Bee's garden. How does Bee make her garden so beautiful? Worm asked himself. Why doesn't my garden look as nice as Bee's? Robin asked himself. How does Bee nurture her flowers? Cardinal asked herself. What is Bee's secret? Grasshopper asked herself. None of the animals could answer these questions, but they promised one another that they would try to find out Bee's secret. Robin was the first to investigate. He flew over Bee's garden, hoping to find out the secret to her beautiful flowers. Robin tried to stay hidden in the trees, but Bee saw Robin flying up above, and she stopped working in her garden until Robin flew away. Worm tried next. He crept underneath the fence around Bee's garden. He tried to be as quiet as possible, but he bumped his head on the fence, and Bee heard the sound. She looked down and saw Worm. Then she went inside her house and did not come out again. Grasshopper thought she could discover the secret. So one day she hopped over the fence into Bee's garden. But she happened to land right in the middle of a pansy bed that Bee was watering. Grasshopper knew she would never find out Bee's secret now. Soaking wet, Grasshopper hopped back out of the garden. Cardinal wanted to try next. She thought she could fly into the garden without being seen. But when Cardinal flew into the garden, she got stuck in a net that was set up to catch harmful pests. Bee helped untangle Cardinal from the net. Then Cardinal flew away as quickly as she could. The animals gathered in Hummingbird's garden. Worm said, "Not one of us has been able to find out Bee's secret. What can we do now?" Hummingbird spoke up. "I have an idea. I'll hide in the birdhouse in Bee's garden. Then I can watch what she does. I'll find out how she grows such beautiful flowers." Hummingbird woke before sunrise the next day. He flew into the birdhouse in Bee's garden. He waited all morning until Bee came out of her house. Then Hummingbird learned the secret of Bee's beautiful garden. He watched as Bee carried tiny grains or pollen from one flower to the next. She did this over and over. Bee was using pollination to fertilize the flowers and help them grow. "Here is what Bee does in her garden," said Hummingbird when he returned. "She takes pollen from one flower and brings it to another flower to fertilize it. That is why Bee has such beautiful flowers." We can use pollination just like Bee. Then our gardens will be beautiful too, Cardinal said. The animals realized she was right, and now every garden in the neighborhood is just as beautiful as Bee's garden. Responding. Target skill. Sequence of events. In what order do the events in this story happen? Copy and complete the chart below. Add more boxes if needed. Write about it. Text to world. What else would you like to know about pollination? Use an encyclopedia or other source to research more about it. Then write a paragraph that includes the facts you learn. Be sure to include a sentence that explains your research topic. Target vocabulary. Blossomed. Crops. Drooping. Fortunate. Harmful. Promised. Sprouting. Underneath. Expand your vocabulary. Fertilize. Flourish. Nurture. Pollen. Pollination. Target skill. Sequence of events. Tell the order in which things happen. Target strategy. Monitor, clarify. Find ways to figure out what doesn't make sense. Genre. A fantasy is a story that could not happen in real life.